So I'm sitting here watching this documentary about Muhammad Ali, produced by Maverick Carter and LeBron. It's called "What's My Name?" Muhammad Ali, Oply, and perfectly mentioned actually for what started me on this video. Um, Muhammad Ali, dude. I think even looking back right now, I spent a lot of time talking about Chad Johnson recently. And people who just affect culture. We watched The Last Dance over the quarantine. People that affect the culture. We lost Kobe Bryant in 2020. Or, people that affect the culture. Muhammad Ali, truly, and we already know this, we get this already. But I mean, Muhammad Ali, truly and honestly, may be one of the few humans still whose impact, when you go and look at the era that he was born in again, Muhammad Ali was probably born in the 19 the teens, the 19 teens. You feel me? Maybe 19 single digits. Was actively a part of civil rights and segregation. Was actively a part of the opening up and the transition of a large variety of Americans into the Muslim faith as well. But in terms of his sport, that's all things outside his sport, right? Inside of his sport, I think if you look at boxing to this day, I still think his imprint on boxing, promoting his own fights, his gift of gab, his mental space, the way he fought his fights. Granted, he fought a little too long into his old age. I think he's one of the most influential humans in the history of life. Granted, we know this already, but this is amazing watching this. I mean, him calling Joe Frazier, if I'm not mistaken, after the fight. And he's saying, Howard Cosell is annoying, da 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 da. And Joe, we can't get along, so we got to get it on. That's rapper bars. And I hear so many people say he was the first rapper, but it's like watching this, listening to him speak and express this and see it come off the cuff. Because again, granted, was he looking in the mirror practicing? But if he wasn't, it's even colder because it's freestyle. Dude is incredible, man. Incredible. And I think it's even doper going through this era watching it and being in this stage of my life watching it because as a kid, you get enamored about a superhero. When you get older, you get enamored and you begin to admire the man because of what the man is capable of and what level he's able to go to. And again, this is foundation land for us, for everybody. Conor McGregor used this same bag. Conor McGregor used this same bag Muhammad Ali used in terms of his mouthpiece and everything to get that Floyd fight. Adrian Broner uses it to his detriment at times. Hey, that's crazy. So that interview with Ernie Terrell, if I'm not mistaken, that's his name, and Muhammad Ali, where it's like if y'all seen Ali, you feel me? It's the moment where he slapped Terrell, yeah, and he said, "Call me by my name." What's crazy is, okay, so Terrell, to see Terrell get mad because Ali called him an Uncle Tom for not calling him his name. He said, all these white people is calling me my name, but you the only one in here acting like Uncle Tom and won't respect me. It's crazy that that's what set off Terrell. And and so that's pretty interesting, like in the dynamics of a lot of the shit that we got going on, even in our world right now. People's willingness, and especially people of your own culture's willingness to kind of disrespect your stance and think that that's something moral to stand on, right? Because again, the difference in the thing with Muhammad, I'm just saying this kind of watching this right now and kind of with a lot of the things that we got going on, because I feel like we dealing with some of these similar things too right now. Like, again, for other black people, there was an issue with the fact that Muhammad Ali was now, again, similar to athletes today with the narrative socially or other black people in the street choosing to stand up against what is seemed to be the status quo. It seems like there's always that element of people who are even within your own culture have an issue with pushing back against the status quo. So think about it. These guys are just two boxers. And Terrell was that stricken and that bothered by one, Ali the fighter, but Ali the man and whatever choice he's making and choosing, to the point where you would go out of your way to disrespect him as a man. And again, not for boxing, because after the fight, he said, I'll respect him as a man, but I won't respect him for nonsense. That's crazy to think that people look at it and feel like, or felt like, his faith and his personal perspective on himself was nonsense, though. Like, think about that. My boy Ernie Terrell, as well as many other black folks in that era, looked at it and felt like, finding yourself in whatever manner and regard that is nonsense. That's crazy to me. Mm. Yo, what? Okay, look. So LeBron and Maverick put out this "What's My Name, Muhammad Ali." I think it came out last year or the year before. Bruh, there's always this conversation had, and people talk a lot about Martin Luther King's death, and I learned a lot about Malcolm X's death in this past year. So again, Malcolm X's death kind of coincides with a lot of other things within the government, but as well him detaching from traditional like American position Islam to the more traditional worldly Islam, and again, or the faith, excuse me, not to say Islam, but the traditional Muslim faith versus American, and again, understanding that he was taking with him probably 1 million followers away from the American dynamic. Now they have this conversation not too long after the athlete summit where you have like Bobby Bell, Jim Brown, Kareem, Muhammad Ali was there. I can't think of the gentleman from the Green Bay Packers is there. Is notable too. Icons of the 1960s era, just as black men, let alone as athletes. And Muhammad Ali is standing there talking, and they're being interviewed. It's Muhammad Ali and Martin Luther King. And Martin Luther King just said something that was so poignant. I don't know if I caught it at the tail end on the video, but he just said that, he had an issue with America's militaristic posturing right now, and that America needed a radical shakeup within politics in order to come to a genuine, true change. The story behind, again, like we understand Martin Luther King's death is that his perspective began to change from passive, peaceful to nah, y'all need to get this shit done. So I think that's kind of crazy to see that dynamic and to see him saying that around the time where Ali was talking about his draft status and things like that. And for him to just be saying it so straightforward and so poignantly that we need radical change. Like, I definitely think, I've always been a fan of Muhammad Ali. I'm a sports fan and different stuff like that. But I think just in terms of learning things about the times and the era, I think "What's My Name, Muhammad Ali" might be something everybody needs to take in because I think there's a lot of little dynamics and little elements in here that I don't think I even was up on. Again, Malcolm X, excuse me, knowing what I know about Malcolm X, but also about Martin Luther King, knowing that about Martin Luther King, again, like, bro, we going through the same shit now.